in stroke, we always say time is brain. So early detection is fundamental. It's the first cause of disability worldwide. It's the second cause of death.
How can doctors use AI to leverage their expertise?
There is a clear shortage of radiologists worldwide. Yeah, so we are an AI software company focused on stroke triage. So basically enabling any hospital in the world to assess a stroke patient with very basic imaging. So when a patient has a stroke, they go to a hospital. They will always have a basic CT scan, but they would need advanced imaging. That means injecting contrast and doing contrast imaging to see the vascularity of the brain. So what we do with AI is to do this assessment with this plain CT so that every hospital in the world can do that. Have in mind that 50% of the hospitals worldwide don't have access to contrast medical imaging. And even if they have, there is a delay in treatment.
Welcome to Lift, where we meet leaders that are building a legacy. Today we have Pau Rodríguez, the CEO of Methinks. Pau, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for the invitation.
I'm very excited to talk about what you're building at Methinks because you work in health tech, right?
That's correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about Methinks? What is it?
Yeah, so we are an AI software company focused on stroke triage. So basically enabling any hospital in the world to assess a stroke patient with very basic imaging. So when a patient has a stroke, they go to a hospital. They will always have a basic CT scan, but they would need advanced imaging. That means injecting contrast and doing contrast imaging to see the vascularity of the brain. So what we do with AI is to do this assessment with this plain CT so that every hospital in the world can do that. Have in mind that 50% of the hospitals worldwide don't have access to contrast medical imaging. And even if they have, there is a delay in treatment. So in stroke, we always say time is brain. So early detection is fundamental.
And now there's like a huge AI hype, right? And it feels obvious that AI is being applied to health, but it wasn't like this maybe 7 years ago, right? That is actually when you joined the company. How was it back in the days?
Well, it has evolved a lot, right? Because in the beginning of deep learning, with TensorFlow, all these technologies, it was pretty much about imaging. Now with generative AI, it's going beyond and is how do you adopt all these technologies for really adapting the workflow of the patient and how you can help physicians make better decisions. So really it's becoming exponential. And again, the technology has evolved a lot, but it's pretty much about change management, right? So interacting with people, engaging with them, that's probably the biggest challenge, more than the technology even.
AI is a tool we can use, and that will definitely support all of our jobs, right? So how can doctors use AI to leverage their expertise?
Sure, I'll give you an example. So there is a clear shortage of radiologists worldwide. It's not that we want to substitute the radiologists, but there are not enough radiologists. So identifying those suspected patients is very important. So what AI does is to trigger an alert that gives this alert to the physician so that then they can look into and make a decision. But it's always the physician, in this case, the radiologist or the neurologist, that makes the decision. So by doing that, imagine every single hospital in the world with a plain CT will trigger an alert with our technology so that the physicians can look into that and make a decision. Otherwise, you would need thousands of radiologists, expert radiologists, only focusing on that. So we're enhancing the capabilities of the radiologist in this case.
Is your technology already available in hospitals? Is it already being used?
Yeah, absolutely. So we obtained the CE mark, which is to commercialize in Europe. We also are FDA cleared, so we can commercialize also in the US. And we recently won a 30 hospital tender here in Catalonia. So the whole Catalan healthcare system will use our technology together with Siemens Healthineers. So we build a partnership together, and with them we apply to this opportunity.
And I'm particularly curious about what you're building because actually my granddad died because of a late diagnosis of a stroke.
Wow.
And I wonder, like, do you have data? I guess you do, right? Like, okay, what is the percentage and like demographics Like,
So it's huge. I mean, it's the first cause of disability worldwide. It's the second cause of death. And as you said very clearly, time is brain. It's a matter of the detection very early because they're very effective treatments. You can provide thrombolysis. You can do mechanical thrombectomy to remove the clot from the brain. And it all comes down to this early detection, and in this case, with a plain CT. So what we've done is the following. The CT scan sends the image to a cloud. We process the image, and we've partnered with Microsoft Teams to develop CT scan viewer, what we call a DICOM viewer, in Microsoft Teams, in such way that small hospital will trigger the alert, and the physicians in the large hospital, we call it the hub, and the spoke, they would coordinate via Microsoft Teams. They could see the image through the DICOM viewer and make a decision whether this patient needs to be transferred or not. Imagine, 3 o'clock in the morning, you go to a hospital, they may know that it's a stroke, but maybe they don't. But they will always do a plain CT. So then is when we trigger and say, this is a suspected stroke. They can still do advanced imaging if they want, but everybody is ready to tackle and address this patient. Otherwise, the patient could leave the hospital and would come back with a larger impact. The impact that this will have across the world could be massive. And it's all about how can you scale the deployment of the technology and how can you help physicians to adopt it. This is crucial.
Brilliant. And I wonder, how large is the team that is building this incredible product or software?
Yeah, no, we're very proud of it because have in mind our team is around 20 people.
Only?
Yeah. And the thing I don't know if most proud of, but very proud, is that all our engineers that joined, some of them as their first job, have grown with the company, and now they have leadership positions, and they are really, really brilliant. So we have a very young, talented team that drive the growth of the company. Most of our leadership, they've been with the company 5-6 years, and it's really great to see them succeed and have such an impact.
And let's talk about your own career, right? If I'm not mistaken, we met several years ago at when you recently joined the company. Why did you join the company?
Yeah, well, I always wanted to be entrepreneurial myself, but even if I am an engineer, I'm a very average engineer, to be honest. I'm not able to do something meaningful in terms of technology, and I joined Nina Capital as entrepreneur in residence. And at that time, I met Christian Martí, who is the founder of Methinks, and he was tackling this problem with AI in stroke, the moment that everything was growing a bit. And I thought, this is a very interesting project for me to try to contribute as a CEO of the company to help grow the company. So that Christian could focus on the technology itself, and myself try to bring the right investors, the team, the partnerships that would enable the deployment of this technology scale. That was very appealing to me.
And I know working in the tech industry is not for everyone, but health tech is particularly not for everyone because there are many challenges. Most of them are regulatory, right? And I wonder, do you have any highlights of those challenges that you encountered throughout these 7 years?
That's true. It's very important. And I guess that the ecosystem where you build a company is very important because you need to understand who are the smartest people or the people that have the most knowledge about regulatory, who know about the clinical strategy, who know about AI. And it was curious because at that time, nobody had almost a clue about how to tackle the regulatory challenges. It was the forefront. I remember we were in a situation where the consultant said, we don't know how to address this. And we figured it out ourselves. So we got together, we started brainstorming about what could make sense to tackle it, and we managed to be successful. So it's a combination of being surrounded by experts that can guide you, but also having a team that knows how to navigate it and has the drive to push it through. It has been tougher than I expected or that I would wish, but it's a learning, and I'm very happy about the process.
And I feel like we are living in a moment of uncertainty more than ever, right? But there are certain profiles that thrive with uncertainty because you manage change particularly well, or change excites you. I don't know if that's the case, and if so, is there any magic recipe on how to manage change?
Well, I don't know if there's a recipe. For me, what is very important is that you really need to be clear of what you want to achieve and share it with your team. Try to be open to see different ways of approaching this problem. It's not finding compromise, but listening and making decisions. That's the challenge, right? It's not be driven by some opinions in particular, but rather say, okay, what makes most sense? Who can bring me a different angle to it? And then being able to digest the challenges that you have and many no's, many failures. You just need to stick to it and enjoy the process with the people that you're close to. If you manage to bring a very talented team that has a shared vision, every challenge you have is an excitement. So it cannot go wrong. And if you see that you're evolving and you're improving, then that makes sense. I guess that if for a very long while you're not successful, then you would say, well, I'm doing something wrong. But we did some progress. We struggled a lot. And I must say that we've built a very, very nice relationship with the whole team. And that's really great.
On the positive note, any highlights of this intense journey?
Well, I guess for everybody, but particularly in the CEO position, is kind of a very lonely position because you need to make certain calls on things and you don't have all the answers. So you need to make these decisions and to build trust with your team, with the board and do that. So that's challenging, but at the same time, it gives you a strength to digest problems. So I guess that 7 years ago, I was much more frustrated with challenges and I got upset myself. And now it's kind of, well, we have this challenge, we'll figure it out. Just let's find the right way to address it. And this helps for your life too. I mean, you cannot have everything you want all the time. You have more no's than yes. So I'm very proud with everything we've done. And we've suffered a lot, to be honest. It has been very painful, but you need to be happy with it. And that's a process. So very happy of what has happened.
And I feel somehow you're defining leadership. And I would like to understand, how would you define leadership, or at least your own leadership style?
Well, I wouldn't know if it's a standard or not, but to me, what is very important is that you want to help others or you want to achieve something. It's not about your ego or what are you achieving, is what I'm enabling others to do. So how our team can use their abilities to solve the need of the physicians, how the physicians can work with us, how can we work with our partners to achieve also their goals. And it's very important, the generosity it's a combination of generosity, but at the same time making decisions. And sometimes somebody may think it's not generous because you're making a call, but at the same time you look at the bigger picture and you need to give direction. So you need to say no to things, you need to have a direction, but you need to listen and people need to understand it.
And let me share an anecdote. I once worked in a Japanese company, and my boss, he always said, to be able to manage a company, you first need to know how to manage yourself. It sounds very nice. It's difficult, certainly. And I wonder, how do you manage your own energy and your own focus? Because it's a very demanding role.
Well, I think that for everyone is the people who surrounds you, what makes your life, right? So from your family, your wife or your husband, your friends, the people you choose to work with. Because one of the advantages of being the CEO is that you can choose who you work with, or they need to choose you too, but at the same time you don't work with people you don't want. And this is very important, okay, how do I surround myself of people that it's not that they say what I want to hear, but they complement to what we want to achieve. So that's really important.
And I know you were once an elite athlete, right, in rugby?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say elite. Have in mind that Spain, rugby is not that big. Yes, I played with the Spanish national team when I was under 17 to under 20, if you can call that elite. But was a great experience. They used to say, our coach, that one is not a professional because he's paid a lot, but rather because he acts professionally.
That's good. I like that one.
So yeah, we took it as professionals in the sense that we wanted to do our job well, and it's a great experience. I learned a lot about rugby, and it's always with me, I guess.
Was there something that you learned while playing rugby that you feel you transferred to being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I guess that the team is bigger than individuals. That's very important, and everybody has a role in the team. There's one person that is the captain that can speak to the referee. The others don't speak to the referee, and they stick to their job. And if somebody else pretends to do other job, then you're not doing yours. So you need to focus in your job. You need to trust the job of your colleagues. There is a captain in the team that tries to coordinate everything, and you stick to that. You stick to the team. You are generous with your colleagues, and that was very important. And at the same time, the level of suffering that you have when you are in the defending line and you need to stand there, you need to do it. You need to do it for the team year over year, match after match. This gives you a resilience and a sense of purpose and camaraderie that is important in the way you work. I don't pretend that everybody lives it the same way. I enjoy living it this way, but don't get me wrong. I don't expect people to act the same way. I think that work is work and you need to do whatever you're meant to be done. But if you live it this way, it's cool because you build this bonding and it gives a sense of purpose that is very nice.
Do you think entrepreneurs are born or made?
I think they're born. And it's true that there are many kinds of personalities and many kinds of entrepreneurs that are very different. So I don't think it's born. I think that the common thing is that you believe you can drive change. And that's what's common. To the extent that you want to drive change, you are an entrepreneur. No matter what you do, no matter if you have a company, no matter if you are in a company or you're doing whatever activity, is do you want to drive change? And this comes along with pain, with suffering, with some great moments.
And I think we're not in an era of change. We are changing the era, right? Like probably AI will definitely change how we work, how we live, like starting now. What is your view?
Well, I think that certainly technology has evolved a lot and it has optimized the way we can work and brings incredible capabilities to everyone. But in a nutshell, humans need to think what we want to achieve and what we want to do. And we will always need to have our view on these things. So we cannot rely only on AI. I think AI will be very important, but we need to make the best use of it. And we need to educate the younger generation to ask the right questions. Now, you can ask AI plenty of things, and it can give you many different answers. But what is the answer that is aligned with my values, what I want to achieve? It's very important that we educate the younger generation to have criteria and to ask the right questions, to then use the AI to achieve them. But we cannot subcontract to the AI to manage our life. That's not what we should do.
And maybe someone watching thinks, I want to be part of designing the future. Maybe I want to drive change and I want to work in health tech. What advice would you give to someone who wants to maybe become an entrepreneur or eventually even work in health tech?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. The first and most important is that start little and keep growing, right? So start organizing a party with your friends, then organize, a larger social event, then start a small company, do your own project. And you will reach different levels of complexity managing these projects. And eventually you will lead to the largest possible, right? But you need to go through the process. You don't go from not organizing anything to suddenly running a massive company. So take it easy, keep the different steps, challenge yourself, get out of the box, and you'll feel yourself that you're empowered and in control, and you know what you can achieve, what you can't. Try to engage with more people, try to achieve bigger things. And it's a process. And you are the one who defines how far you want to go. Or if you can, maybe you can't. But still, you need to navigate that. And then if you want to go to health tech, just do the same thing, but surrounded by smart people in health tech. So learn first, say, who are the best doing this? And then how can I help these people to achieve what they want to do? What can I bring to the table so that things happen? And the more knowledge and skills you have gained, the quicker and the better you will be able to achieve that. So it's a matter about being curious, meeting the right people, and just getting things done.
Do you feel that you designed your career or it was accidental?
Yeah. No, so I always say that my life has been a bit like the Truman Show because I have always been doing what I was supposed to. So I studied engineering, I worked in consulting, management consulting, I did my MBA, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur myself. And there was an inflection point in my career in when I said, okay, now that I've been able to drive some change in some of the activities I've done in my life, how could I apply this to a venture? So I joined as entrepreneur in resident Nina Capital. I met Marta Zanki there and at the beginning, then with Mark Subirats. And I managed to explore different opportunities. I met Christian, the founder of the company. I joined. It was my decision to find a project and a team I would like to work with to have an impact. And that was a change of a career. So to me, is build some skills that you can bring value to a company, find who you are complementary with, and pursue this dream, right? And that's the way you change it. What the skills do I have? How can I bring value? What I want to solve, and try to find this fit and execute it. It's very important. People think, and the world is huge. People think, look, this is my role in the company and I want to be in this position in the company, where there are 20,000 more companies. So don't be obsessed with this. Be obsessed of what value you bring. And if there's a limit, okay, you can apply it somewhere else. So it's knowing yourself, knowing the others, and trying to build something. And you will always be valuable because there's so many things to do that you will help here, and if not, you will help there.
Would you do it all over again?
100%. I would do it all the time. Yes, because at the end of the day, is a way of living, is a way of understanding, okay, I have these challenges, I need to solve it. It's like doing any sport or a marathon or whatever. It's tough. Nobody is relaxed doing a marathon. People suffer doing it, but it's a sense of purpose. And the bigger is the challenge, well, the bigger is the satisfaction. But it's also true that you need to find a balance. Because work is work, okay, and the work doesn't define your life neither. It's an important part of it, but you have other things apart. So there's some thoughts that I always have. Sometimes you work too much and you lose sight of what's important. And
so just to finish with, I always give my guests the option to choose one of these questions. So just pick one, read it, and answer.
Okay, so what's a belief you hold that most people disagree with? Well, that's a tricky one. I would say that coming back to the AI, right? So most of the people say, AI is so impactful that many people would be laid off and hiring won't be as relevant and we will depend on the AI. And I see the impact that it will have, but many people disagree with me because I believe it's all about the relationships, and the world will be driven by relationships and decisions. And some people come to me and say, you shouldn't hire anybody else. You just use AI. Well, we can optimize the capabilities of the team that we have, but still we need to hire a team that is capable to engage with our customers, with our partners, to build these relationships. So it's a combination of both things. AI is great. Let's use it, but let's not forget that humans, we want to have relationship with one another. We need to make decisions, and it's really, really important to me. I have big discussions about it. Who knows? I guess that time will know.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Pau.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.